Welcome to the series where I test out the OSRS Wiki money-making guides. I started this series almost a year ago, and since then we've tried out multiple methods even if they're a little silly, such as picking bananas or even flax. If you enjoy these types of videos, then feel free to check out the playlist that I've made for them, and feel free to leave a suggestion down in the comments for a method that you'd like to see tested. With that being said, let's get into the video. So for today's video, we'll be taking a look at brutal blue dragons, mainly because I have a Slayer task right now for blue dragons, and I don't really feel like killing Warcath since I left it off at a very nice KC. Now, I was looking through the wiki, the OSRS Wiki money-making methods, and unfortunately there's no brutal blue dragons entry. There's one for brutal black dragons, there's one for the brutal red dragons, and there's even one for the brutal green dragons, but none for brutal blues, which is kind of sad. But today we'll be taking a look at how much we can make in 1 hour, or however long it takes us to finish off this one task. So, as for the gear setup, this is what I'll be using. I have my Slayer helmet, of course, since we are on task. I have a full Armadillo with the Dragon Thunder crossbow and the Dragonfire ward, along with Pegasian boots, Archer's ring, Barrow's gloves, Necklace of Anguish, and the Assembler. Now, for the ammo, I am bringing Runite bolts. I was going to bring Amethyst broad bolts, but then I remembered that Runite bolts have the exact same stats as Amethyst broad bolts, and they're also cheaper, so I decided to bring those. You can also decide to bring Diamond Dragon Bolts E, but that's a lot more expensive, or just regular Diamond Bolts E as well, but that's still about 3 times as expensive as the Runite bolts, and since we already have the Dragon Hunter crossbow and the ward, I don't really think that we'll need the special effect from the Diamond bolts, but I'll leave it up to you what you want to bring. As for the inventory, we have the Extended Anti-Fire, Divine Rainy Potion, and 2 prayer potions. I might adjust the prayer potions depending on how much I need for each trip, but this is what I'll be bringing for the start. I have my max cape for teleports to the Crafting Guild Bank and to my POH, and I have a rune pouch filled with Alch runes. Now, as for getting there, I'll be using my max cape to teleport to my POH so that I can restore my stats, and then once that's done, I can hit the Zeric's Talisman right here, use the heart option. It'll take me directly to this statue right here. Investigate it. As many of you know, this is the Catacombs of Kourend, and then from here we can run west until we reach the skeletons, and then run north past the Hellhounds. Might want to protect from melee just in case, because they are aggroed, so be careful of that. And then here we go. Here are the brutal blue dragons. So first off, I just want to apologize because there isn't a timer on screen. I had it running throughout the video, but I forgot to include it in the recording software, so that's on me. But it is shown at the very end once we reach the 1 hour mark. Now, with brutal blue dragons, since we are using ranged, we are going to be able to safe spot them, which means we can pretty much avoid all damage. The only time we really get damaged is whenever we get too close to pick up loot and we get into melee range. But basically, the strat with range is you want to get far away from them so that they can only attack you with the magic attack, which is why we are praying mage. A good thing is they actually drop curry, so if you do get damaged a little bit and you're not ready to leave yet, because you're not full on loot, you can just eat the curry. Now normally whenever I kill dragons like this, I tend to bury the bones so that I can pick up more loot and stay here for longer, but since it is kind of a loot video, I decided to pick up all the bones and sell them off at the end. But if I was doing this on task and I wasn't recording this video, then I would probably just bury the bones for the prayer XP and stay here for longer trips, but that's definitely up to you. The reason I'd bury it is because the entries for the brutal reds and brutal greens really isn't too high on the moneymaker list, so you're probably better off just trying to get through this task as fast as possible, or just doing your blue dragon task somewhere else. Like I said before, Warcath is a great place to do that task because not only will you make a lot of money, but you can finish off your Slayer there and get some levels as well. Now, I was considering using melee here, but if you use melee, you're going to be susceptible to melee and mage, which means you will have to bring some food. Of course, you'll be very tanky in your Bandos armor, which means you just need to pray mage, but I think they can still hit through your Bandos armor, so I'd rather just bring range and safe spot these. Now, after I was done recording this video and I was selling off all the loot, I couldn't help but notice that dragon bones are very, very cheap right now. I remember they used to be over 2k not too long ago, and now they're around, I believe, 1300, 1400 GP each, so right now might be a pretty good time to level up prayer. I might actually get 99 prayer on my ult right now. Also, something I noticed throughout the making of this video was the fact that I had brought anti-fire when I already had a ward, and I was kind of worried that I was drinking the anti-fire for no reason. I thought the ward would give me full protection, but I think there's still a slight chance of taking damage if I only brought the ward, so it's not that big a deal that I brought the anti-fire since they're pretty cheap anyways. And at least I know that anti-fire paired with this shield here at Brutal Blues mitigates all damage from them, at least from their Dragonfire attacks. Now, I did end up stopping the video after an hour, just so that we can get an accurate, loot per hour. And don't worry, I did finish off the rest of the task, and the rest of the loot will be shown towards the end of the video. But with that being said, we are approaching the end of this 1 hour of killing Brutal Blue Dragons, and I gotta say, it's a pretty AFK moneymaker, pretty chill Slayer task, not too bad. A lot of banking though, if you do plan on picking up all of the bones. Alrighty, so after 1 hour of killing these Brutal Blue Dragons, we have all of our loot. Let's go ahead and do a price check on that. Total value is around 656,000 coins. Not bad for a pretty AFK moneymaker. Let's go ahead and sell off the loot and see what we can get. And there we go. All the loot has been sold for a total profit of 654,454 coins, along with 1 ancient shard, which of course cannot be traded. So I am excited to say that we made a pretty good amount of money compared to the red and green Brutal Dragons, but I think it's because we might have gotten more kills than what the wiki has for those entries. So even though we made more than those, I think if we go ahead and try out those moneymakers for another future video, we might actually be surprised at how much we can make. Now, as for the profit for this video, we can subtract the amount of supplies that we used, which was 133,516 GP, from the money we made, which was 654,454 GP, giving us a grand total profit of 520,938 GP, so about half a mil. And as I said before, that's a pretty nice amount to see compared to the other brutal methods, but then again we were using the Dragon Hunter crossbow, which is fairly powerful. We also managed to get a decent amount of XP as shown here, hit points, range, slayer, magic, and even some agility. Yeah, the agility was from the genie lamp that you saw earlier, so yeah, unless you get lucky with one of those, you probably won't see any agility XP down here. And here's also a look at the total loot we got from the rest of the task. Now, it was kind of funny because after I stopped the 1 hour, that's when we started getting some nice drops, such as the Dragon Longsword, Dragon Medhelm, and even a Rune Plate Body. So yeah, figures. But I just want to say thanks for checking out the video, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and maybe even a subscription. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next episode.